Threezero tackles time travel. Here's your look at the Terminator Dark Fate 1/12 scale collectible figure of the T-800. From the Terminator Dark Fate film, the T-800 stands in 1/12 scale and is dressed in real fabric clothing. Standing 7 inches tall, the T-800 figure features a realistic likeness of actor Arnold Schwarzenegger and is built on a custom-designed action figure body with an incredible level of detail. Just before we get this review started of the Terminator Dark Fate 1/12 scale T-800 figure, obviously the first thing we're going to want to do is figure out how tall it actually stands. I'd like to as well thank the folks over at Threezero that provided the early sample copy of the T-800 that we could have a look at in this review. Both him and Sarah Connor are slated to release second quarter of 2021. So they should be coming out shortly, and the price point on both of them are $74.99, so they're going to be about a $75 figure. I'm going to get down to looking at the closer details on the figure as well as his accessories. But like I said, first things first, let's figure out how tall he actually stands. Taking the tape measure right to the very top of his head, stopping it right there. The T-800 stands 6.2 inches in height. Switching that over to centimeters, the figure stands 15.9, or almost 16 centimeters tall. For the figure's accessories, why don't we first look at some firepower. Specifically starting, he comes with the Beretta ARX I-60 assault rifle. It's molded here all in black plastic with a nice brushing, just a subtle dry brushing of silver paint. It's not everywhere, but only in select places where wear and tear normally would happen to firearms. You can see it there on the other side as well. It's got a lot of good detailing done to it. And he does have swappable hands, the available means to hold either one of the weapons in his hands. I said either one of them. I'm going to put this one down here for a second. He also comes included with the Benelli M4 shotgun. Similar to the assault rifle, it's molded here in black plastic, and similar to the assault rifle, it's also been dry brushed in silver paint. Boy, does that ever look great. Again, you can see it on both sides right there. The figure also includes some swappable hands, because currently, in the sockets of his forearms are a pair of relaxed hands. Not really the best thing to be holding weapons with, but he also comes included, we'll look at these ones first, a pair of closed fists. Closed fists certainly wouldn't help to hold weapons, but they're always nice to come included with the figures, and like I said, he comes with a pair of those. He also comes with a pair of grabbing hands. Smaller hands, smaller gripping hands, as you can see right there. Good for holding the handles, for example, of either one of the firearms, or if you want to have trigger firing hands, and he also comes included with these ones as well. And you can see the very select trigger finger sticking out, ready to hold that gun in hand. To change out the hands, by the way, just simply pick up the figure, find the neighboring forearm that you want to pull the hand from the socket, and it helps actually if you just roll the sleeve up, and you can see there's the peg underneath. If you just sort of hold on to that, it helps to aid when removing the hand so that the peg actually doesn't go along with it. Then from there, find the appropriate hand that you want to use. Let's just say we'll go ahead with this hand for the time being. And again, just wiggle that onto the peg. Sometimes while doing this, you'll find that the peg will shift around on you. But again, if you roll the sleeve up a little bit and help to hold that peg just a little bit, you can also sometimes angle the peg down. And it helps to stabilize the peg when you get the rest of the hand attached in there. There we go. Then go ahead and fix the sleeve. I certainly want to spend some time talking about the craftsmanship that they put actually in the tailoring of the costume. But before, of course, we do that, just to show you guys what it looks like with him holding the gun, let's go ahead and go back to the assault rifle. I think that's my favorite of the two. Just go ahead and slide that into his hand. And, of course, while you're doing this, making sure, of course, that this trigger finger is sitting comfortably against the trigger, like that. He does also have bend in the elbows, so you can go ahead and bend the figure's arms like this, and of course grab the other arm. You really don't have to change the hand in this case. You sort of have then just the relaxing hand that you can hold the undercarriage of the assault rifle, just like that. The bend, certainly because of the fabric is going to make things a little tighter when it comes to the elbows being bent, but it's just enough that, like I said, you can get it on there. I mean, I probably could have included, or I would have suggested include maybe other grabbing hand, something to maybe like the shape of a cup, so you would actually been able to cup the under area of the assault rifle. But it certainly serves a perfect purpose for the time being. Like I said, you can have the figure displayed like that. Looking now at the figure's head sculpt, you know, I would say, from seeing it from all angles, of course, I think that looks a lot like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Sometimes when you do get an actor or actress's likeness in an action figure, certain angles or sides work better than others. Maybe, for example, it may look better from a side profile that looks more like the actor, and then as you spin it around, you see a little less of it. But I will say, as I'm spinning the figure around, I'm really seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger from all angles. And that's a really good looking head sculpt. Mind you, it is an older Arnie, as the later Terminator films would be. He would be a lot more scruffier in some of those films, and certainly a lot more visible grays. So the figure also translates that as well, with some gray, as you can see, on the side of his head. And he also has a stubbled beard. It's not a full beard, and I feel successful on their end, that they didn't feel the need to overly paint that, because sometimes adding too much paint to a beard, it makes the beard look a lot darker or a lot fuller than really what it should be. But they've blended it in such a way that only some of the hairs are painted in, so you can still see the flesh sticking out from underneath it. He's got, of course, the scarring on the one side of his face. I really like that they've added like wrinkles around the area of his eyes, and there's a little bit more of the red coloring around his eyes that's nowhere around the rest of his face. I would almost even say, too, that the skin tone that they used is more realistic. It's not too warm and it's not too sickly cold. It almost has just the right coloring done to his face. I would say a really rather successful looking sculpt of Arnie. Spin it around so you can certainly see all the sculpt work done to the hair on the back there as well. And of course from there we can look at the rest of his outfit. So the rest of his outfit basically, as I open this up inside here, he's got the longer jacket with some pockets and snaps on the inside there as well. Really nice seam work there. You can see the stitch lines very clean, and actually even on the inside. This is sometimes a telltale sign. You may have rough or loose threads on the inside, but it's not the case at all. I see a pretty clean looking finished jacket on the inside, just as nice as it's finished on the outside. It does also have a zipper, though it actually doesn't function as a real zipper because the other side, of course, doesn't have the other end of the zipper, but at least they included that, and that's a nice touch there as well. You could technically remove the jacket, I suppose. It just involves you having to really remove the hands first. So again, we'll just wiggle those off the pegs very carefully. And we'll do the exact same thing on the other side as well. Again, if it helps, just to hold on to the peg like this, and then just twist the hand off the peg. Bring the arms back just a little bit, and then from there you can slide the jacket off. He's got a very bulky jacket, simply just because, first of all, it's a very full-size jacket anyways, but then of course because he's got all the additional stitching, padded sections of his shoulders, padded areas of his elbows, it makes for a much fuller looking jacket. The only thing about it though is as you remove the jacket, whether the intended plan to do that is if it's there or not, one thing that you will see as a result of it is unfinished arms underneath it. Now, I'm only really showing you this in the review simply just to show you that you can remove the jacket and you still have a full t-shirt underneath it. You know, so full sleeves and everything else, and that's rather nice. And you see visible screws, but again, like I really want to say, like when it comes to displaying, I feel the T-800, at least for my own personal collection, I'm probably not going to have the jacket off. I only simply just did that so I could show you guys what it looks like. It clearly isn't going to have the same paint job as you can see for the hands here. But I also just want to lift this up as well to show you a very full-sized torso piece, making use of a very shiny plastic as well. But it does have a lot of articulation, a lot more than what we'll get into in a second. Of course, for the rest of his outfit, I feel sort of weird not having him with hands in his sockets right now, but he also has a pair of jeans. And the jeans, again, similar to the shirt and similar to the jacket. Very nice seam work done there as well. The stitch line's very clean. No real rough threads or anything hanging loose on this. And it looks like a pair of denim jeans. And of course, as we get down to the boots here, we can lift up the bottom of the cuffs here just to show you what the boots look like underneath. A nice decent color of brown with a brushing, it seems, of almost a lighter, I'm not sure if it's like a beige color. It's almost got like a slight greenish tint to it, but it looks like something that obviously he's been walking around outside in. I do like the fact that they added just a little bit of wear to those shoes of his. It's really a nice touch that they did do that. Not to mention as well, I mean, even if you look at the undersides of his shoes, sometimes when you see figures like this, they just don't finish the bottom end of it. They keep it smooth and flat. But no, they actually did put in treading on the bottoms of his footwear. I think that's a really nice touch on their part. Even though I would never display the figure with bare plastic arms like this, certainly for at least the posability end of this review, I just decided to leave the jacket off for the time being, so at least you could see the inner workings underneath the jacket. So let's have a look at the posability on Arnie. So his head, you can see there, is sculpted to his neck. It's not a separate piece. But while he doesn't have the articulation up top here, he most definitely has it down below in the neck, where you can move the head up, you can move the head down, back and forth, and of course you can rotate it all the way around as well. I also want to draw your attention to the sculpt that they actually put on the neck itself. Not only can you see a visible Adam's apple, but it seems like there's a little bit of wrinkling that they actually sculpted to the neck. Boy, the attention to detail on this guy is incredible. Then for, of course, his upper torso will involve me just lifting the t-shirt for right now. He does have an upper torso ball joint. The figure also has a lower torso ball joint. And then when it comes to his arms hinge out. You'll have a little less mileage, of course, when you start adding the bulkier jacket back on there. But at least for this, I can show you he has an arm articulation that gives you about a 90-degree angle bend. You can move the arms forward and back. He does also have a cup joint that allows the shoulders to hinge forward and back as well. Not to mention, he has a double hinge on the elbow. You can rotate the hands all the way around, and you can also hinge them back and forth as well. It's almost like he's waving goodbye. Then for his legs split out only to about there. You can bring the legs forward, you can bring the legs back, you can swivel at the top of the thigh, double hinge on the knee, and then when it comes to his feet, again, I'm going to bring the cuff up of his boots. He does have a ball joint. See it right there? It's peeking at you. You can move that back and forth, and really, because they are using ball joints, it gives you a lot of mileage with what you can actually do with the ankles. You can move those back and forth this way as well, and of course you can rotate them all the way around. Despite the fact, of course, I would have to go back and add the jacket back to this figure, really, really happy with how this one turned out. We have gotten 1/12 figures from other companies before, but I would say the entryway of what they're adding and selling these figures for. Again, the pre-order for this guy, I believe, is around $74, $75 online. It's comparable, I think, to other companies that are doing the 1/12 scene right now, but I feel like you're really getting a realistic likeness to Arnold Schwarzenegger. Possibly one of the best we've seen, at least if you want an older Arnie. The outfit is really nicely done. Again, probably will be displaying him with the jacket because the bare arms like this, the plastic isn't going to be the same as the painted hands there. But I'm really happy again with the costuming. I'm really happy with the posability. I'm really happy with how the T-800 turned out from Threezero. While Terminator Dark Fate may not be one of my favorite Terminator films, in fact, actually it sits rather low on my list of Terminator movies, I will say Threezero has knocked this one out of the park, releasing a 1/12 scale collectible figure of an elderly Arnie as the T-800. The head sculpt is good, the tailoring on the costumes is good, and the fact he has two firearms to be held in his hands makes for a rather nice looking figure to be put on display. Of course, one of the benefits of the fact that this figure being 1/12 is, like I always say, takes a lot less space. So if you are somebody that likes to collect figures and just running out of space, the fact you get as much detail as you do in an Arnie this small is quite the feat on Threezero's part. Of course, they have will be releasing a Sarah Connor that we will be looking at in an upcoming review. Again, a big thank you to the folks over at Threezero that provided both the T-800 that we looked at in this review and the Sarah Connor that we will be looking at in an upcoming review. As I said, this one is currently pre-ordered on many online sites with a release date of second quarter 2021. So it should start circulating soon. So if you are interested in getting on board and picking these ones up for yourself, I would say get the pre-orders in on various online sites, wherever you decide for yourself you want to pick up your figures and collectibles from, and get the pre-order in. You're looking at around $74, $75 for both Sarah Connor, I should say, and $75 as well for the T-800. Which again, when you compare it with other companies that are doing the 1/12 scale figures, I don't think that's bad at all, considering you get very much a realistic Arnold Schwarzenegger, one of the best I've certainly seen in an action figure. If you are new to this channel and enjoying all the content you're seeing, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below. Be sure as well you can turn on that bell notification so you get those friendly reminders. And be sure you're keeping your peepers peeled and coming back to this channel, because not only are we going to be looking at the Terminator Dark Fate 1/12 scale Sarah Connor, I know I sort of already alluded to which one's going to be coming up shortly, but we are also going to be looking at some more Threezero releases as well. And as always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.